Now, following Don, I've noticed a trend in manga lately with aliens. I'm currently reading a few, but I specifically want to talk about one alien invasion manga. I looked over this manga because of the name and cover art for a while. Two manga started being serialized roughly around the same time that both had the same wording, and it was just throwing me off. So I want to talk about Astro Baby. And originally, I started reading Astro Royal since it was the same mangaka as Tokyo Revengers, but I kind of put it down. I kind of felt a little bit too much like Tokyo Revengers. Maybe I'll come back to it as the story gets deeper, but with all the other shonen titles I was reading, I was kind of like, this one's not doing too much for me, right? So Astro Baby is basically like taking Parasyte, but instead of the alien coming down silently in the night, these aliens want to come in with a bang from a meteorite, big explosion with it too. And then imagine that the parasites look almost like venom, like a symbiote. And instead of Migi, you have a baby. That's the quickest explanation I can give you for Astro Baby. It's got humor and plenty of other things added along with it. It definitely pulls a decent amount of aspects from Parasyte. And I love Parasyte. I see nothing wrong with having some inspiration. Every artist, author, mangaka, through all media. It's not just stories and books, it's music, it's all type of things, right? Everybody finds inspiration, gets inspired by a piece of work, might inspire them to make something that's slightly similar in certain ways, but make it unique. And I feel like Astro Baby's done a good job with that. I'll give a quick summary of like the first chapter and the story and everything. Astro Baby starts off with a flashback of 6 years prior, where the first meteorite containing aliens has crashed into the rural town of North Hill. This meteorite brought the Coupers disease. Now, the Coupers disease is a parasitic pathogen. Once it takes over the human body, they have full control of not only their full body and senses, but depending on the strain, if they're a superior strain Couper, they can even have control down to the cell level, controlling individual cells, right? When they take over a body, they become zombie-like in the way that they're cannibalistic, but they're fast. They're not slow like zombies, and it can be further than just a physical fighting ability. They can manipulate, make their body into weapons similar to Parasyte. When this meteorite struck North Hill, our main character, Billy, he was a kid at the time and happened to witness the first two attacks and brought him to the police's attention. But of course, they didn't believe him because at the time, it just happened. Public had no knowledge. They thought he was crying wolf. He met a doctor while the cops were trying to write him off that believed him and listened to his story. At the time, she was trying to find more information on it and to possibly work on a cure, right? So Billy was a young kid when he met this doctor. Fast forward to back present time, Billy's in the army now, and he is getting stationed at North Hill because he is in love with the said doctor from flashback. But it gets crazier than that. This doctor, who is much older than him, that also is pregnant from her husband that just walked out. So she was already married, and she's pregnant, very close to giving birth to another man's baby. My boy Billy knows all of that. He said he does not care. He's gonna risk it all. He said he's coming back to North Hill to join the army, to be stationed there, to be next to his woman. He said he wants to help her raise the baby. He knows it's gonna be hard with her being a single mother. He knows the father walked out, and he wants to step up, even though he's young as hell, and he's like 16 at the time, right? As soon as he gets back to North Hill, happens to bump into her. She's like, oh wow, why'd you come back? Because North Hill was the original zone that Coupers were found. It's where the first meteorite struck, and it's where the source of Coupers has primarily been. She's like, there's not really been any Couper attacks outside of North Hill. Why would you come back? And he's like, for love, Ellie. I love you. I want to marry you. I want to help you raise a baby. And pulls out a ring and everything. And she's like, yo, hold on, bro. You moving fast as hell. Like, let's pump the brakes. Let me think about this. In the middle of being flustered with all of that, she just starts going into labor. They rush to the hospital, call an ambulance. While Billy's waiting in the hallway, anxious as hell, there's a mom and a kid walking by that's also in the hallway. And the kid says, Mommy, look, the sky is falling. And when Billy turns, there's a meteorite right next to the window of the hospital falling. He's like, oh shit. And then as soon as he notices it, it explodes right there. Boom, blows a huge explosion into the hospital, right? Fucks the shit up. This explosion, since it was right outside the window, damaged the hospital. In the hospital wreckage from the explosion, a steel pipe from something flew into Eleanor's shoulder, and she's like pinned onto the hospital bed. So she's like dying, and she's like, say the baby, and you just see a fucking venom symbiote ball Couper coming down, and that boy just drops into the room. whoop, slips right up the umbilical cord, takes over Eleanor. When Billy comes in and tries to help, like, oh, are you okay? Oh shit, and then sees the pipe, tries to help her. Bro, she's already, boom, turns into Couper mode. And when they turn Couper, their face gets like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I guess it's supposed to look almost like veins coming out, some crazy looking shit. So you can see she's like a Couper. She goes to attack him, and he's just regular Billy, bro. And the Coupers are strong. So she kind of went to whooping his ass. And all of a sudden, she feels something from the umbilical cord. And you turn and look, and she had gave birth to the baby, right? We ain't even know. They ain't show it. But the baby's also a Couper. But the baby is superior as fuck. And the baby is fucking her up through the umbilical cord, through the cells he's sending into her body to eat her Couper cells. It's some crazy shit, right? This leads to that Couper Eleanor is choking the shit out of Couper baby. Billy tries to save him, and she bites the shit out of Billy's back, like his shoulder. So Abby throws her out the window with the umbilical cord. Boom. The way he throws her, the umbilical cord snaps, detaches, flies out the window. They're high up in the hospital. She hits the ground, right? Think she's dead. When they come and look out the window, she's gone. Now Billy's looking for Eleanor. Billy wants to get Eleanor back in hopes of finding a cure and turning her back human. Abby wants to defeat the other inferior Coupers and even the other superior strains and absorb them to eliminate the threat and get them the hell out of here, right? Abby is not a bad Couper. He knows he has to survive. So just like Migi, similar situation, works with Billy, like, yo, you're my chance of survival. I'm gonna have to work with you, do what I gotta do to protect you, use my powers, all type of crazy shit, and we're gonna get through this shit. The baby is definitely very like cold in his demeanor. He doesn't understand all the extra human emotions for certain shit. He's like, why do you still care about Eleanor, bro? Like, she was gonna kill you, she'll just kill you again. She's a Couper, she's an inferior strain, her brain is like scrambled. He doesn't care, bro. Love is love. So as you could see, Billy is kind of Denji like, not full-blown retard and not a full-blown horn dog like Denji, but he came back to North Hill for love. His main goal wasn't like, oh, I want to kill off all the Coupers and eradicate them. He was just like, I want to be with Eleanor. I love Eleanor. I want to go help her take care of the baby. You feel me? He definitely does a lot of things that are kind of stupid, and all the shit that he's going through and wants to do, it's really solely for love. So in that sense, I say he's somewhat Denji like, and he also is just like brick brain. Sometimes it's just like, you can see it's just empty in there, not really much going on, but it's way less insanity. Even though Billy was bit by Eleanor when she was a Couper, he doesn't really have Couper powers. There's some cells in his body from the baby, and the baby can transfer cells into him to give him like a doping boost so that he can be like strong to fight Coupers, but he himself doesn't have any powers. He's a regular dude. As the story progresses, you see how he kind of puts his own spin and twist and brings it into things. It's cool. It's interesting the way he does it, but he himself doesn't have powers. He solely has to rely on the baby, just like Migi. So when the baby's asleep, guess what he's got to do? Figure that shit out. So far, I'm really digging this story. When it comes to the alien stories that I'm reading, it's definitely getting to an interesting point, because the way that the story has progressed, now we're starting to see more evolved Coupers, more of the other superior strains, and what they have been doing and getting ready for this time. Another very similar title that started around the same time, Wild Strawberry, except when the aliens or parasites take over their bodies, it's plants in that one. I don't know, that one, it felt like they were trying to make it like too sad and depressing, and I feel like what kind of keeps Astro Baby interesting and makes me want to keep reading it is that it has a really good balance of humor with the action and everything going on. Like, between the baby and the faces, the reactions, there's a lot of humor cooked into this. Obviously way more than Parasyte. Parasyte didn't really have any humor, actually. It was just kind of like dark fantasy seinen horror anime, but this, it still has all those dark horror aspects of Parasyte. Like, Coupers, once they take over a body, they definitely can do some crazy horrific shit, just like Parasyte, but I feel like it lightens up the mood in the story with all the comedy they add in. It just makes it a little bit more interesting. Every artist needs a little inspiration or something. With that being said, I feel like Astro Baby did their own thing. They stood out from Parasyte. They didn't just hold the hand and do exactly everything all the way through. And I feel like the comedy that they add in is just so good, and the artist is so well at like drawing and including it and randomly bringing it in. It's not as much gore and darkness as like Parasyte. It's like, take it a few steps back, you know what I'm saying? Make it just slightly a little bit more shonen. The pacing, the storytelling, everything about it, I feel like has been interesting. I'm caught up to the most recent chapter. So far, great story. As far as shonen manga goes, Shonen Jump, Jump Plus, definitely gotta check it out. If you're a fan of Parasyte, if you're a fan of any fantasy story where there's an alien or a monster race that comes and they're able to use their powers to fight them off, anything like that, definitely check out Astro Baby. I think it has the possibility to turn out to a great story. Like the start, the way that everything ties together, for me right now, current manga that I'm reading, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. I don't see too many big flaws or things that really bother me in it. The artwork is good. The mangaka has a good distinction and understanding of switching art styles between serious parts, action parts, and like the humor, because there's plenty humor mixed in. I have a few more videos coming on newer mangas I'm specifically reading on either Shonen Jump app or Manga Plus app. So if you're interested in any of those, you want to get into some of the newer stories or find out what may or may be hot that's on there, check back for those videos. But other than that, that's all I'm gonna have for today, guys. And on that one, we out.